All
All
right,
right.
welcome back, you creeps, to Dread Central. My name is Xero Gravity, and today we are continuing our celebration of the Black experience in horror with a peek into a super dope project and low-key my newest obsession, dropping very soon. I guess you could say, the homies at Dread are shook over it. All right. Allow me to introduce Marcus H. Roberts and Bradley Golden. Together, they make up the meat of Second Sight Publishing, which is currently providing the public with new genre stories created by diverse minds of all kinds. Now, currently on the menu is Shook, a Black horror anthology. It's a 160-page graphic novel that will be packed with tales of horror, sci-fi, and suspense from a fistful of the comic book industry's finest. Dubbed the Dream Team, these creators represent Black excellence in the horror genre. Thank you so much to both of you for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
All right, so before we jump into the project itself, can I get a Second Sight Publishing origin story?
Yeah. Actually, Second Sight started from the basement of my mom's house about 10 years ago. Um, the first book we ever published, well, I ever published, was Mississippi Zombie. It was a little 21-page pamphlet at the time, since I used a regular printer, printed out the pages, stapled them all together, and took them around town. Took them to the comic stores, and at that time, Miss Tupelo I finally got our first Comic Con, and it was in like a little small uh, um, art building called the Link Center downtown here, and I took my staple comics down there, sold out. And then from that point on, I submitted it to Antarctic Press, Caliber Comics, but Antarctic Press didn't pick Mississippi Zombie. They took my other title, which was Leave on the Light. And from there, I did a partnership with AP to have my then studio. It wasn't a full fledged company yet. My studio logo on those titles. Um, I want to say the first two issues of Living Light came out. It was a smash hit for them. Like, it was the second grossing comic at that company within those 2 months. So
Wow.
they asked me if I had another book, and of course I did. I have called Cold Blooded, about the killer ice cream man. They
Ooh.
actually asked me to head up their horror comics line. So I was actually the first one. I actually created that for them with Cold Blooded for 3 issues. It was the third best-selling book behind Leave on the Light. And of course, Second Sight Studios was on the cover. Then after I got out of contract with them, that's when Caliber, I saw them at the Memphis Comic Con, and I pitched the book to them. At that time, I had a couple of Kickstarter versions of the book out. I gave it to them. Andrea Molinari, he liked it so much, he pitched it to his boss at Caliber, and instead of them picking up just that, they actually signed Second Sight to a deal for 5 years to come up with 4 anthologies for them. So
Mm.
Mississippi Zombie is one, and Harvest of Horror is one. Then from there, that's when I hired Mr. Lone Wind, Marcus Roberts, who's well known in the comic book industry, well known, Black Hero Marcus. He did interviews with different creators, whatnot. And I brought him in to help me, you know, branch out. And he's done a great job at that, as you can see with Shook. From that point on, we formed Second Sight Publishing. And from there, we went from having slice of life, superhero, um, children books to now we're condensed it all down to just horror, manga, and children books.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly horror. That's what we're known for.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's how Second Sight Publishing came to be.
I love it. Humble beginnings and to infinity and beyond.
And
I
beyond.
love the sound of that. All right, now
Yeah.
what about the Shook origin story? Was the
Oh,
anthology format, was that always the vision?
Mr. Marcus Roberts can answer that for you.
Yeah, Chick has always been an anthology format. The vision for it had always been an anthology. We had already done Mississippi Zombie after doing 3 volumes of Mississippi Zombie and doing a couple of volumes of Harvest of Horror. Excuse me. We realized just how popular a well-done anthology book could be. And the next thing was really just putting together the right people. John Jennings and I are friends and had been talking for years about collaborating on a project. And John had an idea for a magazine that he wanted to call Shook. Bradley and I, as I said, we were already doing the horror anthologies. So John, Bradley, and I just got together and said, well, instead of doing a magazine, let's just do this horror anthology. Bradley and I had already started talking to people like Kevin Grievous, who we met at a con before. We were already friends with people like David Walker and Rodney Barnes and Brandon Easton and Alvarin Ball. And we just kind of like tapped them all on the shoulder and said, hey, we're getting ready to put a book together. Are you all interested? And they all, to the man, said yes. So that's how that happened. We were, as Bradley said, being a horror company, we were looking for people that had the horror experience. And as we were picking out these people, we realized that, these are some of the best writers in the comic book industry, period, let alone representing Black excellence. We're talking about comic book excellence as well. It turns out once we put the lineup together, just the awards that are represented, from Eisner's to Hugo's to Glyph Comics Awards, Writers Guild Awards with Rodney Barnes. I mean, it's just a stellar cast of writers and creators. And that's where that dream team came to play, because when the dream team was first formed for the Olympics, they put together the best NBA team, best NBA players out there at that time and turned them loose on the world. And you saw what happened with that. So I figured we've put together the best comic book writers in the comic book industry, and we turned them loose in this horror genre. And we're going to see what's going to happen with that.
I love that. Let's hear it for the dream team. So I know a lot goes into like each individual story, right? You have your writer, you have the text, you have the illustrator. How do you vet your creators for each project? Is it like you leave it on them, or because there's a big range? I've read a couple of the stories early, and there's a huge range here. So is there any formula to like mixing up and matching your illustrators with your writers, or is it just kind of like let it loose and see what happens?
It's a little both. We leave the creative teams up to the creator. So there are a couple of cases in Shook where we chose artists for like Rodney Barnes. We've chosen an artist for like Brandon Easton. I think Evan Park, yeah, he got an artist from us as well. So, yeah, but those cases were specific in that from the beginning and talking with the guys, they said, well, look, I'll be able to do it, but I'll only be able to like provide a script for you. We were like, hey, if you can provide the script, we'll take care of the artist. So other cases, like with John Jennings himself is a writer artist, but his story, he has a couple of stories going in. One he's written that someone else drew. Well, actually, both stories that he's written, he's got different artists on them. John introduced me to the artist on my story, Jamal L. Williams, who worked on another project with John. So it's something that's pretty much familiar with all creators. You want to work with people you know, or you want to work with people who are referred to you, and leaving it up to each creative team to provide their own creative and creators, and then just provide us with those completed stories.
Mm-hmm.
A lot easier in putting the anthology together. It's
Mm-hmm.
less pressure. Now, as the collection editor, I don't have to edit 12 different stories from, pencils to letters and everything. That's taken care of by each creator. What
Mm-hmm.
they is a story that's already been edited, it's already been completed. And now I just have to lay it into the book, design the book as to
Mm-hmm.
how to go.
All right. A little bit of everything. I think you definitely create like a stronger network that way, and just a uh more cohesive final product that way, if everyone is connecting and like almost like an honor system. I dig it. All right, so like I said, I had the privilege of checking out a couple of these stories early, and like I said before, the range is really, really wide. Can you guys talk a little bit about the different flavors of horror that we should expect when the anthology is released?
Well,
Well,
go ahead, Bradley. You're a good person to tell about this.
well, let's start off with my story, Tasty Itchy. I went for the artistic approach to it. Um, I wanted to showcase a bombed out, radioactive, post apocalyptic New Orleans. Being one of the bigger places to have to deal with cockroaches. So I kind of turned it on his head. Why not have flesh eating cockroaches on top of radioactive vampires? And to get that actual bombed out feel of it being wet, grimy,
Mm.
I had to find an artist like Flavio Cortez. I don't know if that's the one of the ones you read yet.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh, I
Tasty
read it.
Itchy.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to bring that to the table, trying to stand out against the rest. We got stories that range from a woman that's dying from HIV, looking back over her history and her past and whatnot. We got one about zombies during the KKK, and we got Marcus got to deal with. Um, I don't want to give too much away, Marcus. Going to hell and not knowing you in hell until it's too late. Then I have another one about the occult and
Mm.
how it's changing this certain person, not figuratively but spiritually. It's
Mhm.
like he's all stretched out, mutated, killing and doing all type of crazy shit. Uh, to we actually got a prose by Albert Ball turned into actual horror story as well. I mean,
Mm.
the range is it's out there, and that's
Mhm.
how we actually wanted it. We didn't want to
Mhm.
just have it like one set route, one set type of genre within the horror. Um, we kind of want a little bit of everything for everybody. You
Right,
know,
a little bit of everything for everybody. I like that.
Yeah, I
I
think
think there's something about like our people in anthologies. It's just like a nice marriage, because the range of stories that we have, I really think is something unique. And I did want to say that I think as Black horror fans, we kind of live on a very fine line, where we want to have stories that reflect our human experiences, but then on the other hand, we don't want no torture porn, or we don't want resurfaced trauma. So I love, from the three stories that I have read so far, we have both sides of those. We have like resurfacing of our human experiences and of our ancestors' experiences. And then we have something completely different where it's not having anything to do with our trauma, but still for some reason I'm like reading it in African American vernacular in English, so it still like makes sense to us. That's why I'm so pleased with this anthology format. It's a win. It's a win.
well, I think what is the real strength of the book is because of the writers that we're dealing with, and their particular strength and comic of what they write. You know, that's what they're bringing. Rodney Barnes, we know, you know, Philadelphia, Blackula, you know, things of that nature. So you know what you can kind of expect from Rodney Barnes, and at the same time, his story is something totally different than what you see him doing now, but it's still just as good.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Grievous actually has a couple of stories that are more of the superhero horror type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those stories is a play on a historical character, Bass Reeves. He's got Bass Reeves as a monster hunter. So Evan Park's story, The Removers, a story about a young lady who works for a body removal company and finds out that she comes from a lineage of monster hunters. Even David Walker's story. David Walker has a horror story that has the comedic element to it. So each writer brings their strength in, and it is that mixture of their strengths that really make the book stand out.
That's great. I love it. All right, now my next question. I've heard or I've read a lot of people describe this project as something called Southern Gothic horror. I would love to know each of your individual description. I'm a Northerner, so I don't know nothing about DC, DMV area is where I stop. So tell me a little bit about Southern Gothic horror.
Well, you know, just as you pointed out, you're a Northern, and as you view the differences between being a Northerner and a Southerner, is those differences that are able to be brought out in the horror setting. It is relating incidences and experiences that are unique to the South, that are uniquely Southern in origin, maybe. But it's something that when you read it, when you see it, even when you hear it, immediately it gives you a feeling that it's from the South. So it's Southern.
Yeah, you definitely gonna see cornfields. You can go see tractors. You're gonna see houses that's been just empty for I don't know how long. You're gonna see a lot of trees. You're gonna see
You don't
all
see
that
farms. Yeah.
barns, barbed wire fences, ties, all that stuff. You definitely see all that, and you're gonna see that in Shook too. I'm gonna guarantee you. But yeah, I mean that's like with all of our titles. Leave on the Light, Cold Blooded, like I mentioned, all that. It's that These Damn Kids. It's that Southern style of writing that we're bringing. You know what I'm saying? So, leading up to the next question, I know you're about to ask. Yeah, Leave on the Light. Okay, These Damn Kids. Upcoming, Sonny. That's Sonny is our take on Child's Play. These is
All
our
right.
take on Children of the Corn. Leave on the Light. That's my take on Nightmare on Elm Street. I got another one I'm working on, which is my take on Cujo, Man's Best Friend. Marcus got the whole zombie thing. He got that locked up with Horn Island Trilogy. He can tell you more about that, But yeah, we definitely doing our thing.
I'm with it. I'm with it, and I'm excited. I'm excited to get to know.
Check things out.
I'm excited to get to know all of it better. I really am.
Yeah.
All right. So my last question. You all viewers right now, you can pre-order Shook right now. But as we prepare for the release, can you give our viewers some homework? What should we be reading or what should we be watching to gear up for Shook when it does land in our hands?
These Damn Kids, which is on the website. These Damn Kids. Leave on the Light. Sonny. Horn Island trilogy and some Mississippi Zombie from
Mm-hmm.
Caliber Comics.
Mm-hmm.
You read those, you have the gist of what Shook is.
Mm-hmm.
And then from some of the guys that are on the book, I mean, John Jennings currently is writing the Silver Surfer, but if you want to check out some of his more horror-related stuff, you got the book Box of Bones, and you'll also see on Box of Bones some of the artists that have worked that's working on Shook. And of course, Rodney Barnes' Philadelphia Blacklist just came out. David Walker, even though it's just been announced, him writing Planet of the Apes. You got Bitter Root. Kevin Grievous, he's working on that Bass Reef series. Alvin Ball, his Across the Tracks, and One Nation that he did with 133 Art. The If you read these books from these guys, you get a feel of their style if you aren't familiar with them, and you'll be able to know what to expect when reading their stories that are in Shook.
Mm-hmm.
Now with Kevin Grievous, you can just go watch Underworld, and there it is.
Ah,
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know, really.
I'm not even gonna hold you. I was watching Underworld last night. I got them all on Blu-ray. That's a soft spot for me.
I was actually watching it before this interview.
Ah!
Underworld, yeah, I was watching it. Sure was. You know.
There we go. There we go. All right. Well, I think it's just so amazing to see how the support for Black independent horror has strengthened exponentially the past, I don't want to, maybe 10 years. I cannot wait for this project to reach our community. As somebody who only hangs out with Black horror heads, I'm telling you, we're ready. We're ready, and you're feeding the community with this one. So I want to thank you guys both for talking with me today. Marcus Roberts and Bradley Golden, I really appreciate it. Anything else to sign off? A plug? Anything at all?
I will plug that second site. Check out secondsightpublishing.com, our website. Be on the lookout for, as Bradley said, the new titles we have coming out. The Sunny book 1 is already out. Leave on the Light 1856, which is the second series in the Leave on the Light series. And then we have issue 2 of These Damn Kids is getting the final polishing. I think a few more pages need to be lettered. So that'll be coming out soon here in the next couple of months. Definitely be on the lookout for that. Just got one last thing. You still have a few more days. These Damn Kids actually was nominated for the best indie comic of the year, the best Canadian indie comic of the year, I should say, by Sequential Magazine. The vote is still in, so check us out. Check out our Facebook page. Click on the link on that and vote These Damn Kids. This is a big honor for us as a comic book company to have a book not just nominated as the best of the year, but in the Canadian market. That's just big for us. Shout out to all our Canadian fans. We have a very big following in Canada.
All right.
Very big.
I love to hear it. I really do. All right. Thank you guys again. For everyone watching on the internet right now, please remember it's still Black History Month, so open up your wallets to support Black horror. Okay, I've been Xero Gravity. Thank you so much for watching.